Good morning. How you guys doing? Oh, right here. Jay, we didn't bring you back to make me look stupid.
We don't need it.
It is cold out, man. It is cold out. So we got a lot going on today. We are going to have a panel of Explosion attendees wrap this thing up for the last 40 minutes. Before that, we're going to do a short video. We've got a couple guest speakers talking about a couple things, and we're going to roll through things. Can we get the lights on in the back there, Jay? I'm in the dark, I know, often, but we need proper lighting. Thank you, thank you. Gina, run it.
Ready?
Yes, and this is the guy that passed away of cancer from the Marvel movie, the Black Panther. Yes, thank you, thank you. Oh, now turn the lights back off. I think you're good, Jay.
Sometimes you need to get knocked down before you can really figure out what your fight is and how you need to fight it. Sometimes you need to feel the pain and sting of defeat to activate the real passion and purpose that God predestined inside of you. God says in Jeremiah, I know the plans I have for you. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Hear me well on this day. This day when you have reached the hilltop and you are deciding on next jobs, next steps, careers, further education. You would rather find purpose than a job or a career. Purpose crosses disciplines. Purpose is an essential element of you. It is the reason you are on the planet at this particular time in history. Your very existence is wrapped up in the things you are here to fulfill. Whatever you choose for a career path, remember the struggles along the way are only meant to shape you for your purpose. When God has something for you, it doesn't matter who stands against it. If it's meant for you, God will move someone that's holding you back away from a door and put someone there who will open it for you. I don't know what your future is, but if you're willing to take the harder way, the more complicated one, the one with more failures at first than successes, the one that has ultimately proven to have more meaning, more victory, more glory, then you will not regret it. Press on with pride and press on with purpose and appreciate what God has brought you through.
Sad to see someone die at that young age, but any of those that have been around, can you help me, Shelley?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Thank you, thank you. For a long time, you've always heard me talk about, do what your passion is, right? Make sure that if you're doing something, love what you're doing. And I do see people that love doing real estate, and I see other people that don't love doing real estate, and they're doing it anyway, because they don't know what else the hell they're going to do. So my suggestion to those people, start loving it, or find something else to do. A quick little story, and I know we got a lot of stuff going on. I gave a speech, gosh, this has got to be a dozen years ago down in Kansas, Wichita, and I was driving back, and this guy calls me on the phone and says, Vince, I don't remember his name, Tom. I said, hi, Tom, how you doing? He says, I was at your speech today. He says, you really moved me. Thank you very much. He said, you've helped me make a life decision that I've been trying to make forever. He says, I'm going to move from Wichita to Chicago. But he goes through that his mom had passed away, and it helped him. It kind of messed him up. All of a sudden, he couldn't drive. He's dependent on other people. And he says, I've hated that. He says, I want to go somewhere where there's mass transportation and I can do things and not be a burden on others. So I'm like, I got to get off the phone and call this broker who just paid me to come down and give a speech and say, you just lost one of your agents. So I was going through anxiety. It took me about 5 minutes to make that phone call. But I called down and I talked to her, and she's like, we know his struggles, and so we're supportive of that. But I think there's a lot of truth in that. You've got to love what you're doing. And I agree with this statement, find your purpose. anytime someone comes to my office and we start talking about things, I'm like, why are you doing this? What's your why? What, you got to understand those type of things. So we got a lot. I could go on for 30 minutes just on his 2-minute speech there. But we've got a couple things. We've got Kevin rolling. Kevin, and I'm going to make each one of you roll fast, and then Bill, we're going to have you roll next, okay? And you got a presentation. So click fast on his presentation.
I'll be really quick, guys. So Kevin Gross with American Home Shield. Just wanted the 3 scenarios where I think home warranties can help every single transaction, and got some real life examples that I think will help you guys relate it to your transactions. Okay, so I did the math this morning. Warranty for peanuts, protection for peanuts, right? A home warranty costs you, Shield Essential 535, $1.49 a day. Roll that into a mortgage, a 30-year mortgage, you're talking $1.40 something a month, okay? So the protections for your clients is minuscule, less than a soda a day to protect your clients'
for
major
monkeys.
systems. So 3 scenarios, right? Seller's coverage. I had Mark Allgood, I don't know if he's in here today, had a transaction, they had home inspection, it's his seller. The buyers had a home inspection, they did a HVAC inspection, found cracked heat exchanger. Instead of having to negotiate who's going to pay for this new furnace, or instead of that transaction falling apart, they place a claim through the home warranty. They got a brand new furnace installed, they paid their $75, $100 service fee, brand new furnace installed for $40 plus their service fee, okay? There's always going to be some out-of-pocket expenses. In that situation, it was $40. I would always set the expectation for your clients, it's going to be a few $100s. A few $100 in modifications for electrical lines, gas lines, ductwork is better than $3,000 for a new furnace. Working on a claim in Des Moines, $3,500 for a brand new furnace, okay? So a few $100 is a lot better than that. Seller's coverage, enroll every warranty and enroll every one of your listings into seller's coverage to protect your clients, okay? I'm representing a buyer, and we're putting an offer in on another listing, maybe not a Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador listing, it's an MP Dodge listing, whatever the case is. Include and extend seller's coverage to that seller for that transaction, okay? Seller's coverage, if it's my listing, free, no obligation, you don't have to buy it, you can use it, we can pay claims, you don't have to purchase it. If I'm representing a buyer and we're going to extend seller's coverage to another listing, to the other agent in another office, that is contingent on the fact that you are going to close with a warranty, right? We're purchasing a warranty, however you want to negotiate that. Buyer to buy the warranty and extend seller's coverage to the seller at no cost. Seller buyer to split it, seller to pay for it, but we're going to extend seller's coverage to you at no cost, okay? Again, same scenario. One, it's going to help you differentiate your offer. You're giving something to the seller for free. They don't have to pay for. If they understand the value of home warranties and what that means going through the transaction and inspections, hopefully they appreciate the fact that you guys are going to extend that no-cost seller's coverage to them as well. Okay? Kevin Baumeister had a transaction, MP Dodge, right? This is when I first started rolling out the no-cost seller's coverage. Did this exact thing, right? He put, I don't even think he told the listing agent he put seller's coverage in place. He had an inspection, HVAC inspection. Again, a cracked heat exchanger comes up on that inspection. He looks like a hero. He goes to that listing agent and says, hey, you're welcome. I put seller's coverage on through AHS. All your client needs to do is go and place a claim through the warranty. Helps keep that transaction smooth, together, a lot less stressful to say, pay your $75 service fee and put a claim through the warranty versus who's going to pay $3,500 for the new furnace. Right? Does that make sense? Just had a transaction, and I don't know who the agent was on this one. Andy Cunningham was the client, right? Closes on a Friday. The next Friday, his hot water heater starts leaking. Thankfully, that agent put a home warranty on that property, saved their client $1,500. What's the story? How happy is that client if they did not have a home warranty in place and they had to come out of pocket a week after closing, $1,500, right? Luckily, I was able to pull some strings. We got a hot water heater installed that weekend. Now, I can't always guarantee it's going to happen that quickly. What I will guarantee you guys, I will work very hard to do everything I can for your clients to make sure we provide the best service for you and for your clients. Okay? Protection for peanuts, $1.50 a day, and we're going to protect all the major systems in the home. Any questions?
Good.
Call me.
Thank you.
Message me.
Trina's got one.
It's not a question, actually, it's a statement. So I wouldn't hold back in telling the sellers that you're going to do that. So if you're writing a contract for a buyer, you should write that in your contract and saying that you're doing this for the seller.
Because no one else can hear you on Zoom, I apologize.
No, we're good. You can, we have a mic, they can hear.
Oh, they can now hear?
Okay.
Wow,
I would just say-
we're upscale now.
I
Shit, we've moved out of the 80s into the 90s. I'm getting impressed.
I would actually, we have actually done this, we've added it to the purchase agreement as a benefit to the seller when you're trying to actually win a multiple offer situation.
Buyer
And that
seller
just-
coverage.
Yeah, and then that just actually adds some additional benefit to your buyer, so just FYI.
Yes. Thank you. Are we good?
Are we good?
What was that statement? Something for peanuts?
Warrant protection for peanuts.
Protection for peanuts. Write that
There
down.
we
I
go.
like
Write that
that.
down. There we go.
All right. Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, guys.
Bill and Doug both coming up?
Yeah.
All right.
We each get 10 minutes, right?
You each get 10 minutes divided by 5.
All right, and you're going to be the official clicker?
Yes.
All right, we're going to move fast and maybe pause on some of them. But first of all, Doug and I are here to talk about RPAC. Click. RPAC stands for Realtors Political Action Committee. If you don't know what that is, basically we support candidates that work on issues that are important to housing. We are, go ahead and click. We are not a bunch of Republican supporters. We're not a bunch of Democratic supporters. We are almost.
So now you
year
pissed
in-
off everybody.
Yep, year in and year out. We're right down. We're about half and half. But we look at who supports the housing industry itself and the bills that affect our industry and our clients. Next. Some local representative, myself, Doug, Joe Gerke, who's at the Regency office, is Governmental Affairs Chair. Perry Nealon is our Governmental Affairs Director. Next. We're involved in all levels, national, state, local. We'll elaborate on that a little bit next. Our PAC is the largest PAC in the nation. It's very, very important. We do not get involved in presidential politics, thank God. We focus on real estate related issues and real estate related issues only. Next. For the state, there is a short session this year. What we do is we go down in January, we review all the bills, figure out which ones have anything to do with real estate, and we focus on those. We had to sift through 482 of them. Next. Locally, we're of course the front line of government. We make sure that we're involved in whatever decisions are being held locally. City council thing. Doug had to testify last year at the city council on the Landlord-Tenant Act and so forth. We have access to basically city council. We get a meeting with the mayor if we need it, or her people. Next. Next. This year, we're supporting 11 bills and opposing 16 bills, and monitoring 30 of them. The reason we monitor them is because they can change. Politicians are very sneaky. They may put something in, let's say a bill that says puppies are cute. Well, by the time it gets to amendments, it's puppies are cute, and we want to do this financial thing on a transaction, et cetera, et cetera. So we have to constantly monitor them to make sure that they don't change. Next. Couple things here. These were things that we're working on. Rural workforce housing, their middle income workforce housing. We clarified the roles of a real estate unlicensed assistant. We are now recognized as a profession. I could go 30 minutes on why that is extremely important to you here in this room. Couple things for folks. Carbon monoxide bill, when that came out, we were the sole, I guess the liability fell on us and us alone if that wasn't in.
Us as realtors.
Yeah, us as realtors. No more notarizing. For those of you that have been around in a while, we don't have to drive around through rainstorms at midnight to get contracts notarized. That was because of RPAC. federally, the flood insurance, that got pushed off. We'll talk about that another day, but Doug has a little bit about that.
Yeah, let me talk. First of all, let me back up 1 second. Back in 2018, a lot of you probably may not even know this really happened, but we had 4 bills that went through, or that they tried to get through down at the state legislature, that we opposed all 4 of them. And they were bills as far as property taxes. They were going to be a 1% transfer tax, so it was 1% on the purchase price to transfer a property. They were taxing services at 6%, which means our commissions were going to be taxed at 6%. And then the last thing they wanted to do, since they weren't trying to tax our industry enough, is they were going to tax the interest on your loans. So they're going to tax that interest on those loans. So if you had a $150,000 house, and hopefully this tells you exactly why it hits home, on a $150,000 transaction, it would affect that bottom line by about $2,400. And that was in 2018. We defeated all 4 of those bills. And some of these that Bill's talking about up here now, and some of these are ongoing. Transferring over here, talking a little bit about the Flood Insurance Act. Flood insurance actually started back in 2012. The problems with it had to do with the Biggert Waters Act, and they were 2 of the senators that put that thing in place. And we've been fighting that thing ever since. They amended it in 2016 to change some things. Ever since then, nobody's had the heart to put something long-term in place. Normally, they kick the can down the road 90 days because that's the minimum they can do it, but they can't kick it more than a maximum of 1 year. Those of you that are doing transactions in the flood zones, there's over 40,000 transactions a month that would be affected across the United States if we don't get something done on this permanently. And so we're sitting on this thing, and we're constantly working with Congress out there to do things like that. One of the other new things, and I'll turn it back over to Bill, that's coming up, it has to do with broadband. Broadband's one of the biggest things that we're out there working on. Those of you that struggling to get enough Wi-Fi and internet access at your homes. In the city, we don't have as much problem, but I will tell you, just on the outskirts of even just the Omaha marketplace and things like that, those are things that are going to affect the values of home. People are looking at those things as homeschooling, this working from home, things like that. That's going to affect everything that we do. And those of you that don't understand some of those things, please come ask us. That's what we're here for. We've been doing this quite a long time, and so we're going to continue to do the fight and be there for you. But we also need some help from you. Go ahead and turn it back over to Billy.
Thanks, Douglas. Very, very important for those of you in the room or on Zoom that possibly took advantage of the PPP or the unemployment that we were afforded. We were not included in that. As an independent contractor, it just wasn't part of the program until our lobbyists started talking to the people who could talk to the people who had to talk to the people. And then here we are. Then we were able to be included in that. We got unemployment, got the PPP for our industry, for realtors and so forth. So that is critical of why it's important to support those people that we need to have in high places. Next. A couple things. These are things that we had opposed. I'm only going to touch on a few of these. The top one, updated electrical standards. It's very important. That sounds like it makes sense, update electrical standards on new construction. But what they wanted to do was put a shutoff on the outside of every house so that a fireman could walk over and shut off the power. The neighbor kid could also walk over and shut off the power. But it would have added, I think, about $3,000 to each new build. We talked to several builders, several electricians. They felt that it was completely unnecessary. A whole host of other things. LB 1020, that's going to be back. Senator Vargas introduced that, and in how it sounds like you don't want to discriminate against someone because of their source of income. But if you dug down deep into it, it would mean that every one of you who are a landlord or all of your landlord clients would have to accept Section 8 in Nebraska. It also meant that if you couldn't discriminate against someone because they're getting a government loan. That sounds great, except those sellers that don't want to sell to an FHA or VA buyer. So I don't think Senator Vargas's intent was there, but if we wouldn't have opposed that and it would have passed, then that's what we'd be faced with right now. Next. Some things that we did work for, we had a $10 million workforce housing investment that was very, very important. But next. We were 16 for 16 in defeating the things that would have harmed our industry or our clients. More importantly, our clients. Next. Next. City issues, we talked a little bit about that. The main thing I want to focus on there is the bottom one. We made sure that we would have been, had we had to shut down, we would have been deemed an essential business. There are a lot of cities across the country during COVID. Some of them even got their Paragon shut off because they just didn't want any business going on at all whatsoever. People that were in escrow couldn't close, et cetera. So we were poised to become an essential business had our city had to go into lockdown. Next.
Yeah, and we got that through Mayor Stothert and even Ricketts. We talked at the state level with Governor Ricketts about that as well, and we gave the explanation as to why we were. So for about anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks, guys, think about being shut down, not having the opportunity to even do anything. I know some people didn't do anything during that time, but to not even have the option to do something.
These are some of our local representatives. Next.
Looks like your name needs to be Darlene.
Yeah, the three Darlenes.
Well, one of those will change. One of those will change soon.
We also have local representatives to our state legislature. Next. Vote. It's important.
Week
Next.
from today
Next.
Or before.
or before.
These are ongoing issues. This is actually a scroll that is about 5 times bigger than that, but those are things that we need to watch for that may or may not affect us in our industry. Next. Where does your RPAC investment go? By the way, we're going to ask for money. 100% goes into the RPAC supported candidates.
Yeah, Bill and I aren't on commissions. We've had that check or question asked to us before.
Did buy us a shirt. Not out of that money, though. Why do they support us? Why do candidates support real estate? Because real estate is the driving force of the economy. 1/6 of a new home's value is estimated that goes right back into the economy, whether that's the guy delivering pizza for closing day, the movers, Nebraska Furniture Mart, the loan originator, the termite guy, us as realtors, and so forth. So why? I personally believe we kept the economy going through COVID, the real estate business. Next. We support, okay, click that. See, when Doug and I first started this gig in working as the RPAC representatives, we were able to support 6 people. Last year, through many of you are in this room, through your efforts and through the other people in the city, we were able to get into over 30 races last year. Senate, Congress, Governor, State, Secretary of State, everything down to city mayors, local boards, MED boards, OPPD, et cetera, et cetera. We want to make sure that people friendly to real estate are in those positions. Next. So, if today you pledge $150 or write a check or scrawl your credit card on our form here, then you get lots of goodies. The first is Vince is going to take you to La Casa West. We don't know when. We're giving away a $100 Visa gift card.
Are you paying people to go to lunch with you?
Most days, Fred. Most days.
Since he has nothing else to do, we talked him into this.
The best way to have friends is buy them.
For those of you that that need a new headshot for your cards, and you all know who you are, we have an annual headshot day at the board. A professional photographer comes in and does that. So you get a ticket to our next headshot day. You get a ticket to our summer party, which traditionally has been a big airboat party that we've been doing for years and years, but that washed away. So we'll find another summer party next year.
He'll be back next year.
Yep. And then we also have an RPAC CE day that you'll get a seat at our next RPAC CE day. A lot of that just says next because some of it is in flux because of COVID and so forth. So,
What do the people on Zoom do?
Zoom, all you have to do is just put in the comments.
Enter your credit card in Zoom.
No, don't put your credit card number on Zoom. On Zoom, please just say, I'm in, and then Maggie will tally up who's all in. And I know some people will watch this on a delay in an hour or two or later today. So we'll do that drawing at the end of the day. But other than that, Doug, do you have any parting words?
I just say the last thing is that all these doors that have opened up, dollars open doors. That's the number one thing. Our doors are not open unless we get investments from you folks for us to go knock on these doors, to meet with the mayor, to meet with the city council members, to meet with the senators at the state and national level, to meet with the congressmen and women that we have. So that's what it's all about. is dollars open doors for us to give our views and to get them to sit down and listen to us. And so without those investments in your industry, those doors are no longer open. So that's why we're here today. Mike Blackman.
Come on, baby.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. So do we need to pass those cards out? You want to do that as I'm chatting? Okay. Shelley, you want to grab the two people we have on Zoom?
Yes. Are you
Corky? Yes. So we're gonna do our panel here. We are running tight on time, which is on me for scheduling too many things in the same meeting. And none of these people you're saying none of them need this because Maggie? Okay. So I'll put it in the middle and then you can pass it back and forth.
Oh my God, you can read that?
Shelley, Shannon, and Trina are here live with us. And then, am I okay? Am I in the video if I'm over here?
I can see you on the screen.
Okay, good. And then we've got Corky and Katie joining us via Zoom, right?
Okay, Maggie, can you see them? I don't see them.
All right, so perfect. So there we go, guys. Corky, Katie, how are you doing? So I'm going to ask, let's keep everyone muted, but we'll go ahead and unmute Corky and Katie if we could. And then that way we can have an open flow of conversations here. So Explosion was, about 3 weeks ago now? Is that right, Gina?
September 30th, yeah.
September 30th. Seems like forever ago to me. So we love, as you guys know, trying to have panels saying, let's share your top takeaways from that. So Shelley, let's start with you. What was your favorite panel? She's going to pass that to you. I apologize. What was your favorite panel of Explosion? And we had the luxury panel, we had the millennial Gen Z panel, and then we had two top producer panels, one focusing more on COVID and one focusing more on best practices.
Well, is this on?
Is it on?
Is it on?
Maggie?
Okay,
Yes.
Awesome. My favorite
You guys hear in the back?
was-
No. See, they're not hearing in the back, Maggie. Outside of the glass.
Is it on now?
Do you hear me? Do you hear me, though?
Hello?
Courtney got a haircut.
Tasha's saying yes. So-
Okay, so you guys can hear me? No?
no, Julie, Tasha are not saying they're not. So you got to hold that closer to you.
Okay. Okay.
Thumbs up now.
I'll
Okay.
just talk a little
So
bit
hear
about
that.
the
Hear that. Yeah,
process.
got it.
Okay, so my favorite panels were best practices and when they were talking about how COVID affected their business, because I felt like I could really relate with how, this pandemic affected us.
So what was your top takeaway from that panels?
Okay, so
We're gonna switch.
It was all about
That's
just
better.
continuing to,
That works better.
build relationships and not stopping, and having lending an ear, and when you make your phone calls, just shut up and listen, be an active listener, and see what you could do as far as taking your business to the next level with a heart is really what I took from that whole panel. Was we got to put the person back into practice, meaning it's not about the transaction, it's about the experience and how can we make this more relatable and follow up.
And we really heard a lot of that, people talking about this is a relationship building business. And you had the lady Kelly from St. Louis, whose team does over $300 million. They're the top broker in St. Louis. And they're like, everyone comes in here saying they're number one at something, and they're literally the number one team for closed volume in the marketplace. And they said, we're number one. The number one thing to us is our clients. And I
Yeah,
thought that was a smart move on their part to put the emphasis back on them versus we're the number one team or whatever it is
Yeah,
in
Debbie
this marketplace.
DeGrado said you need to have cards that says we're number one in customer service, and I
Yes.
thought that was really cool.
Yes. And I'm not going to forget about you two up there, or I should be looking up there. Up there. I don't know where I'm looking, guys.
Yeah, I really enjoyed both of those panels also. I thought the millennial and Gen Z panel was awesome. I am on the very edge of being a millennial, so I like to claim that. So I even learned a bunch from them about videos, and the thing that I really liked, one girl said that she thought that Facebook was for her fans, so it was more conversational, and Instagram is where she gets her income from. And I thought that was kind of neat, so you can kind of tailor what you're doing based on those two platforms.
So I'm going to come
I
back.
love your notes on the envelope. I've got my iPad, and you've got an envelope.
This is my 52-year-old
millennial does. We don't use
Millennial,
iPad.
iPad.
So Shannon, we're going to come back and dive deeper into those takeaways of a lot of the things that they shared on how they're dealing with Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn.
Okay, so I kind of agree with you on the COVID thing. So a couple of things that I had actually written down that was just pretty amazing was that it made me look at it from a completely different perspective. So, I mean, yeah, it's happening. And for me, I'm just like, well, I mean, it's like, and I shouldn't say this, but it's like the flu. It's a virus. If you get it, you get it. It's not really affecting me at this moment in time. But I didn't really stop to think how it's affecting everybody else. And so basically what they said, what has COVID done to change the way you think about your home and your needs and, how you live in your current home because you're not able to go to a lot of places like you used to.
Brian's not here. Mike takes over.
And especially for those families that, are elderly and that sort of thing, their home is completely different to them. So it made me have a different outlook on what people really view their home as. So can I go into some of these things that I
go into them and
okay.
then we'll dive into then I'm going to go to
okay.
Corky
So
and Katie.
one of the things that they actually had like an abbreviation for COVID. So
Karen Jennings, I think, did that.
Okay.
Yes.
So they said keep doing the same routine, and as throughout the entire explosion experience, consistency was like the biggest thing, and I think that's just true with everything that we do. Pick one or two things, do it, be really, really consistent with it, and you'll succeed. But they said make sure you read publications in the morning, and be the knowledge and professionalism is going to be really important here because the climate out there is changing for us, and so we have to be the knowledge base that they go to. But the COVID, so she just basically said, be conscientious, be a rule follower, be very organized, present value to clients, individual needs, pay attention to them, their feelings, their needs through this time, and dedication to goals and your clients. So
Perfect.
That was interesting.
Katie, you want to kind of talk about, I'm going to look at the camera because I know that's where you are at on Zoom, which is very hard for me. But you want to talk about what your favorite panel was and maybe some things that you took out of that?
I just really liked the millennials. I mean, I liked them all, but they just had so much energy and that, they just brought the fun kind of back into, the industry. I think it would get so bogged down by little things that happen during transactions, but they just had so much energy and enthusiasm. That one little gal, she'd done like 75 deals in her first year, and she's only like, 20 years old?
Yeah, she's 23 years old, and she had already done over 70 deals year to date back at the end of September, which I thought for a 23-year-old was pretty impressive. And she really utilizes social media as a big part of how she's reaching out to people. Because clearly other 23-year-olds, for the most part, are not buying houses at that point in time. So she's having to get business from older people.
And they were just a good group of gals. There was 4 of them, and they just seemed like, even though they're different parts of the country, they feed on each other and help each other, and they just had great energy. So that was my favorite one.
Corky.
Good morning, everyone. My number one was the top producer COVID, particularly the gentleman from Michigan. They had been in a 75-day lockdown. His team was on track to do the same number of deals, which was 330 that they had done in 19. And you could just tell looking at his face, he had an attitude of abundance. His eyes kind of sparkled, and he talked about some of the things they do. And my takeaway was all things that are old become new again. Talked about doing a dumpster, 2 or 3 dumpsters for his farm that he worked on. He does just listed, just solds on all of his listings and sales, and then just talked about getting on the phone and reaching out to people and just seeing how they're doing first and foremost.
Yeah, and that was Mark Brace. And if there's any one of these people you want to reach out to, I think we have a good enough relationship with all these people. They would be more than happy to take a call or an email or something like that for you. We did share, I believe, Gina, because we had a lot of requests of the 5 people on the Millennial Gen Z panel, each one of their Facebook and Instagram handles or whatever you want to call it, so you can follow them.
Yeah.
So
they recommended Home Sweet Heidi.
Home Sweet Heidi
Yeah,
really
Home Sweet Heidi.
is out of North Carolina, does a great job of, I say, social media. Corky, then I'm gonna circle back around here. Walk through maybe a couple other takeaways that you took out of some other panels or things that maybe you're gonna be implementing into your business, if you could, please.
Well, I think probably for me, the Gen Z or whatever we want to call that panel, I thought that their insights into social media and their postings were things that we've tried to implement right away, particularly the one woman talking about how candid her videos are. She didn't worry about her makeup, didn't worry about her hair, didn't worry about what she had on that day, and was really just kind of walking people through. It's more than just putting a sign in the yard, and some of the background things that they do to help their clients and to get the house ready to go on the market so they can be successful.
Perfect. Katie, is there some things that you really took out of there that you're going to plan on implementing into your business, or at least look at?
Yeah, that first panel, I think the Deputy Grow, someone had talked about just really, reaching, like Corky said, keep reaching out to your folks, adding value to your clients, and just make every transaction fun and less stressful for folks during this time, and that your likability is why they are really working with you.
I'm going to dive a little deeper maybe to the social media things of some of the things that they said that they were doing when they were implementing social media, if you guys could, coming back this way, because I thought there was a lot of good ideas of how they were looking at social media relative Facebook versus Instagram versus LinkedIn, I think were the three that specifically they were talking about.
Well, one of the things that they talked about was the way the algorithms are set up, and they're always constantly changing. And the biggest way to make sure that you're getting as many views and people following you is to try to follow those algorithms. And one of the things they said is that try to use as many, what do you want to say, extras that they actually put into like Instagram or Facebook. Like if there's filters, or if there's like, any of those different things, different little video things or whatever verbiage you can add. They're saying to use as many tools as possible, and the more tools you use, and you can't just respond with just emoji or something like that. If you go to comment on these things, you actually have to write out a full sentence to have that algorithm pick you up. So that's something that I found really interesting, because there's many a times that I've just liked something or just sent out an emoji thinking that, that's, doing something.
Right.
And the reason it doesn't do anything at all.
And I'm assuming the reason that algorithms is so important is if you're reaching 500 people, you want to reach 1,000 or 5,000 people. So the key is don't just like things, don't just put an emoji on there, but really what they were talking about, I think for most, was engagement of conversations back and forth with your clients, because they're saying when you do that, we're seeing that it's more likely to get business out of it. But two is it helps our algorithms, and then engagement of the tools is the more of those tools that you use. And even if it's a filter and you take it down and only use 15, 20% of it, just because you've used the filter on Instagram is going to help you continue to get greater reach as you do those things. So I thought that was very interesting.
We could all use filters anyway.
We can all use filters.
We're using one right now.
Oh, I hope so.
Dive a little deeper, Shannon. What were a couple of things that you saw that were really things that you took to heart or found interesting?
In social media?
Social media, yes. Or,
sure.
Yes.
Yeah. They made a few comments about how stories typically get more engagement than just actual posts, which, I found we post stuff to stories and get hundreds of people that view it or comment it or get reactions versus, the 75 that we get on just a normal post. So one other really great suggestion was just to post some of the crazy stuff that we do all day that people don't understand. Like if you're taking someone's dog for a walk so they can have a showing at their house, or if you're staging, or if you're cleaning. I mean, I've swept floors and scrubbed windows and mirrors and, anything that you need to do that's kind of above and beyond that people don't realize. That's the kind of stuff that people really want to see when they're looking at social media. It's not just, hey, look at this sweet house I listed, or yeah, I just sold this. Like, what's the stuff that we actually do day in, day out is a little bit more interesting than
when they talked also a little bit about video, right? And they said they were surprised on LinkedIn. Like on LinkedIn, they're not putting any personal stuff. They're really keeping it strictly to business. But their engagement when they were utilizing video, if I recall correctly, on LinkedIn was incredibly higher than their engagement when they were not using video on LinkedIn.
Yeah, they were saying that there's just no videos on LinkedIn.
And when I didn't even think of video being part of LinkedIn, but they were really getting engagement through that.
Yeah.
Shelley.
So this was my second favorite panel, just so y'all know.
Okay.
And I watched it twice, so I do have something to bring to the table. I loved the idea of doing video on LinkedIn. And one of the gals said, treat LinkedIn like you're talking to your husband or to, a business person. Poorly. Yeah. But what's really, really important is that you start out with Instagram, use those filters, and you're going to have kind of like your kind of like what you do with Twitter, you know, your Twitter feeds or whatever. And then on Facebook, because Facebook is for your fans, right? You're going to take that same feed, but you're going to change the tune just a little bit. And on LinkedIn, if you're going to post like a house or whatever, talk about, you know, what it listed for, what you sold it for, how many days on market. But kind of keep it just black and white, you know, just real short little tidbits, and you'll get more followers. And I also really liked when they were talking about like videos and those types of things. We really need to talk about who we are. People like to do business with people that they know and trust, and be authentic. So if you stutter, it's okay, stutter, because you're going to stutter at your listing appointment just like you would on Facebook. And if you typically don't wear makeup, it's okay, girls, you can go without your makeup. You're just as pretty without it, and you men without your makeup, trust me, okay? And I think it's really, really important that if you have like pets, or if you're passionate about something, share it with people, because people will connect with you. So if you like to walk, or you go to the gym, or you know, you like to kayak or whatever, show people what you're doing every day. And the one gal that's 23 that was getting a lot of business, she was getting like $5 to $10 million worth of her sales just off of Facebook.
Yes.
She was talking about what she does to strategize to get the highest bid. There was a gal that talked about how the deal fell apart. The buyer ghosted them, so they canceled that contract and went back, and they talked about how it took them 48 hours to put the deal back together, and they actually were able to get $10,000 more for their seller. Those are the stories that are unsung, and we need to go sing those songs to our sellers and to our potential investors and buyers. You will gain business simply by being who you are.
You tripped a couple thoughts, and guys, kick in here if you have anything to add to this. But when you talked about Instagram and Facebook, I remember, I think it was Heidi, if I'm not mistaken, specifically said, even though she'll share the exact same post on Instagram and Facebook, she will go in and change the title, and she'll change the first sentence or two, because she understands I'm dealing with, typically, I think there's a 40 and over crowd on Facebook and a 40 and under crowd on Instagram. So she said, understand your audience, and then put that title to be attracted to them, right? And there was another thought I had that I lost in this process.
TikTok.
And I would tell you, as I did pre-calls with all 5 of them, I was shocked. They all said they're going to start using TikTok, because I do know there are some people across the country using TikTok as a vehicle, Snapchat as a vehicle, but none of them were really engaged in TikTok at this point in time, which I found a little bit interesting as part of that process. I know the other thing I was going to say, I believe it was Molly out of Houston said, don't share a story. If you see another story that you really love of somebody else, and every one of them, by the way, they were all following other what they consider real estate influencers around the country, which is the reason we sent out their social media posts, is follow them, learn from them, steal from them, and then do it. So if you see something that they do that you really love, don't just share their post. Take their post and tweak that to make it now your own post. Because now when that becomes your own personalized post, it's, again, for algorithms, it's going to get you more juice, it's more unique, and so you get more value out of that versus just sharing somebody else's post that you think is a great post. Now, on occasion, if there's some crazy post, that's great. And when they ended it, it was the sisters out of Pittsburgh, right? Didn't they just that day list, it was some famous house. What was the house? Silence of the Lambs house. And so again, that got a lot of engagement, I guess, because they posted something very interesting there. So anything that you can do that's entertaining to them or that's going to draw their attention, try to steal those type of ideas. So those were kind of some things. So let's unless anyone has something to add on the social media millennial group, let's dive in and everyone give one or two more takeaways of something else that you learned from the other panels. And it could be the closing comments from Chris Stewart or something like that, that you felt were of value. Shelley, I'm ahead with you, and then we'll head back around again here.
Well, as you can tell, I took a lot of notes, and I didn't bring all of them, but I think that the most important thing is I loved Ivan. Ivan talked about...
Ivan from Vegas does about $350 million.
Well, first of all, if you don't know me, I like bald men, and he was bald, so that was really important to me. He's blushing. I do have a boyfriend, just so you know, and he is bald.
Yeah, she gets up and starts rubbing your head. Turn off the cameras.
Yeah, I like that shine. No, anyway, no, Ivan he got my attention simply because he was bald, but secondly, his production. He told me he cleaned house. He had told you guys too, he was cleaning house. So I think he had like 25 agents, and then he went down to 17.
I think he went from 25 to 12.
Or 14, I think it was.
Has more peace of mind.
Yep.
Making more money, right? And just enjoying life much better. And so I think the moral of the story that came out of that is so often we're like, we got to add this, we got to grow, we got to do this, we got to do that. And at the end of the day, I will tell you many times I've consulted some large teams over the years, almost without exception, when they've right-sized it, they've got more balance, are enjoying life better, and it's not just adding people for the sake of adding people. Because sometimes growing can be a negative, and I think he was a prime example of that. He was less stressed out, now more focused on his business and the people that he had on his team that were the right fits for his team versus just having 25 people that was too much.
And I could connect with that because it takes one bad seed, and I call it a cancer, and it's a cancer in an organization. We all need to do a better job focusing on staying around positive, influential people that can help grow our inner selves, so then we can be our very best when we're in front of our clients. And I could connect with that. So this is good.
Perfect.
My favorite thing that I heard was from Debbie DeGroat, and I think she said it was from Alan Dalton, where she said, when people ask you how the market is, my typical response is like, oh my God, it's amazing. Like, you get so excited about it. And she said your answer should be, it's opportunistic. And then the next question should be after that, what opportunity are you interested in? And I was like, oh, damn, like that's amazing, right? Like that would take me a step back if someone said that to me. So I think that
You're like, wow, they're smart.
Dang, they're really good at this.
Are you sure they're in real estate?
I also thought one other thing she said that was really neat. In this market, when things are moving so fast, we don't really have the time to build relationships like we have in the past, where you've got lots of time to spend with your sellers because their homes are on the market. And the buyers, we're showing them a lot of houses, but then, as soon as the house gets sold, we're moving so quickly that you go on to the next buyer and you're not keeping up with them in escrow. So it kind of feels like a breakup to your buyers. So just making sure that you're staying in touch with your buyers throughout the whole escrow process and afterwards. So it's not like, you're with them for weeks and then they never hear from you again. And then with your sellers, with houses closing so fast, you don't have the time to really develop that relationship with them too. So make sure that you're staying in touch with them throughout the process.
And didn't really a lot of the people say that with COVID, it's more important than ever that you're touching base more frequently, but for longer periods of time than you would in the past.
Yeah.
Before, it was maybe a fast, quick conversation, stay in touch with them. But right now, because of all the anxiety and depression people are having, it's really became more important to touch base more with them and for longer periods of time.
Yeah, one of the millennials
they all
was
seem to be very purposeful on that.
Yeah, she was saying that her listing appointments have turned into like an hour and a half because people just wanted to like have interaction with other human beings.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting.
Trina.
I think mine was slow down and be an interpreter of data for your people. So making sure you're taking the time to take care of yourself first, your health, your mindset, and making sure that you're educated. Read articles in the morning. They brought up Keeping Current Matters as a good place to actually look up some good information, educational information. And then take the time to love your spheres. So call them, talk to them, share some of that education that you've been reading every morning. So that was my favorite.
I think Keeping Current Matters was $20 a month. Is that right, Jay? $25 a month. But I think every one of them on that panel every one of them was using Keeping Current Matters as a tool for their social media sites. Was that fair? Mm-hmm. Yes. Katie?
I think someone already said it, but just one of the biggest takeaways was just, promoting that your customers are your number one thing, not just like how many transactions you've done or how great of an agent you are, but that your customers, are your number one priority. No one really talked about the luxury market panel, which I thought was interesting. That one gal kind of just talked about, even in that luxury market, they're doing $15 million homes, but they're getting out there and they're doing tour, which I think is nice for newer agents to maybe, we don't really promote it a lot, but to get out there and to see all the homes in Omaha.
Yeah, and I think the thing that Deb reminded me that a couple of years ago we had Shauna Coventry from Laguna Beach, and they said, what's your number one source of business? Is it the magazines and all these type of things? And Deb reminded us that, and Deb was quite honestly shocked because I had a conversation with her after this, is that her number one source, even on these $4 and $5 million houses in Laguna Beach, California, was doing open houses. She says there's no better source of getting business even in that luxury market, than open houses, because those people come in, you connect with them, you build those relationships, and it's the greatest opportunity for them to sell a house and to pick up other business. I found that to be interesting because Deb was of the mindset, the luxury market, you shouldn't be doing open houses. You have too many people just walking through that are looking for ideas and so forth. And she changed her mind there. And we've been talking a lot in our mastermind groups. Heather's down in Council Bluffs watching this. But we've been talking a lot in our mastermind groups is I do really feel like in this low listing inventory, we've got too far away from doing open houses. Open houses is still a vehicle, in my mind, to generate a lot of business. So don't forget about that. I thought that was a good reminder. Anything else?
Well, actually, to add on that, I mean, I just
I'm at Corky. Why am I looking at you? Shut up. Corky.
See ya.
She just wanted to talk after I interrupted Corky. Corky, I apologize.
Yeah, probably my last two takes, one came from Chris Stewart as he was summarizing. I know this has been around for a while, but I think more than ever, people are curious about what's going on in the market and really don't understand how good the market is. And his quote, and again, it's not his quote, but it's a very opportunistic market. What opportunities are you curious about? And I just think that's something that we can use a lot. My other one was life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. And again, kind of ties everything together for me as far as COVID goes, is how are we going to react to what we're doing? How are our clients going to react?
Nope. I appreciate it. So last 30 seconds for each one of you. Run through here. Corky, with you running back. Parting thoughts as you move forward into 2021. What do you take away from this that you're going to implement that's going to help you have a better 2021 than you did 2020?
Well, the easy answer is all of the above, but is the social media, again, the things that you guys, the panel there in front of you drilled down on, those I think those things are critical, and really just telling a story about ourselves so people see us as more than just the mechanics of being a realtor, but that we're real people and people that they want to get to know, and that we have a personal side.
Katie.
Yep, I agree. Just really keeping in touch with my folks and who I have in my sphere. And then also I sit a lot on the weekends, and just really, rather than being a realtor sitting in a model home or open house, but just, being a real person and being likable.
Perfect. Trina.
Mine's just to be consistent and intentional with my sphere, and then just making sure that I'm reading those articles every morning.
Perfect. Shannon.
I like what Chris Stewart said at the end. He asked him about what he thought about 2021, and
yes.
He said, doesn't matter. Nobody even knew what was going to happen in 2020. So who cares what's going to happen in 2021? I thought that was awesome.
And the moral of the story is be prepared for whatever's going to happen,
absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. So for me, one of the big themes that came out of Explosion was you just got to outwork everybody else. Outwork everybody, stay in touch with the people that you got, and then everything else kind of falls into place.
I think to piggyback on that, I think they all really talked about, here's the consistent thing over 4 years of Explosions. They all put systems in place, and they've created great habits. They consistently do little things over and over and over. One of you said they pick a couple things and they just do it over and over. That's the number one takeaway. But I even drilled down further, and again, $350 million out of Vegas. It was, he shuts his door for 2.5 hours a day, and uninterrupted was making the calls, building the relationships, making sure he's staying in touch with people. And that's the important part. When you put systems in place, try to make sure that part of that system is to block out time to not allow any other people, because when you start and stop, and we've been talking about this for years, it takes you 3-4 times longer to accomplish the same thing, and typically not as well as if you can do it just with that laser focus as you move forward. So, perfect. Shelley, wrap us up.
Okay, so.
Be awesome here.
I know, we got to be awesome. You guys are awesome. Believe it. Okay, so someone said the difference in our market today is everyone's focused. So our sellers are extremely focused. They don't want a lot of people coming through, so they're doing everything that they have to do to get that first buyer in to win, right? And sellers are very intentional. And Debbie DeGrody said, when you look at a triangle, wisdom's at the top, and then you have knowledge and then professionalism. So Debbie said, be the wise advisor. So this year, I'm ramping it up again on social media, and I am going to start increasing my stories, but I'm going to be telling the story through pictures, videos, and I'm just going to let people know I'm real. I have a conflict of interest. I have an identical twin who's a teacher. She looks like me.
She
She
hurt your
sounds
image
like
or helping
me.
your image?
She's helping, but I need people to know that, you know, when she goes to the store, don't go up and talk to her about real estate because I think she might hurt them. So I think it would be fun to bring her into some of my stories and say, this is the better half of me. But I think that 2021 is going to be a great opportunity for each and every one of us to increase our business by 30%, just like all of these other people. They were increasing their business 20 to 30% simply by doing the little things, picking up the phone, having conversations, doing pop buys, everything that Vince teaches us and tells us to do, we need to act on it. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I would tell you, I agree with everyone. Be consistent, create some good habits, outwork everybody else. If you outwork everyone else, and you create habits and you continue to build and nurture relationships, the foundation of all of your business, I promise you, as we continue to move forward, is your database, the people that know you, that like you, that are willing to do business with you, but you've got to stay in touch with them. And if you can do that, you're going to have a great 2021. Guys, let's give them all a big hand here. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. So Carrie's handing out here real quick. I don't need 2 microphones, do I? I already have one on me. Do you hear me in the back, guys? Okay. I'll leave that there so it doesn't. What was I going to say? And then I need his sheet also, Sean's. You have it? You have it? I'll give you a minute. Sit up here. I'll give you a minute. Yes. So we're handing out the top producer sheets. We do that every quarter. And I know that this matters to some of you because I started getting calls about a week after a quarter. Do you have the numbers? Where am I at? How far? Am I in the top 10? Am I in the top 50? Am I the top this or whatever? So we put these sheets out there. I do believe friendly competition helps drive people. So look at those if they're wrong. Carrie screwed them up.
Also Scott.
And Scott. Scott screwed them up?
No, Scott has to make it down.
Oh, I think let's hold off on his. So, yeah, Scott's going to talk about, we do have a new purchase agreement coming out at the beginning of next year. We were going to have Scott, but I think we overwhelmed ourselves on time, so we're going to get to that to the next time. And I think we're going to have Lori Bonsetter, and we've pushed her back also. So continue. Jay's got 2 more weeks of grit left, right? Yep. This week and next week. And so pop in those classes for the last couple of weeks if you can. Karen Jennings, unfortunately, was our guest speaker this week. Karen is in the hospital. She was in a car accident, so keep her in your thoughts and prayers. She was banged up pretty bad. She's going to be in there for a period of time. So just please keep her in your thoughts and prayers if you could. And then we're ending. So we've got Shelly Klimke, I think, substituting for this week, and then next week we ended with who? Nico. So we've had 2 average guys left, but you know. No, come in here and watch these guys. I think every one of the events that you've had is bringing something that can help people walk away to continue to grow your business as we move forward. So, Sean.
Hey guys, thanks. Thanks, Vince.
Yes.
Real quick, I'll keep it pithy. So we're talking about growing your business. I just have a couple bullet points here. So I've got a referral program, and I call it Expand Your Reach to the Beach, and I'll be the conduit. Oh, okay. Can you hear me okay? All right, great. So the dates for this that I'm going to have in here is going to be November 12th from 10 to 11. I've got this handout that I'll share with you guys right here. We're also going to post it on the BHHS Facebook. And there's a QR code, and it'll sign up for registration, and we'll send it to all the emails here. And I've got a drawing for a 3-day stay at the beach at one of my houses. So
The 12th or the 17th?
Is it the 17th or the 12th? 17th. Yeah. Sorry.
And you're going to talk about VRBO in this, which I think we've had lots of people reaching out to. So that's one of the things that was really intriguing to me is when people are like, how do we use this and so forth. So these guys are going to educate you on some of that.
Yeah, the big thing is,
I'm going to give you 30 seconds. I apologize.
Yeah, obviously we're short on time. So the big thing is how do you expand your toolbox as well? So when you're talking to your clients, even if you don't have your license in Florida, we're here to be a resource for you. But if you want to learn the mechanics of how this works, we encourage you to come to this as well because we're going to go into detail and maybe you guys can take advantage of this as well. We focus in Panama City Beach, Florida. However, you can take this to any market. I wouldn't recommend Omaha. We think there's a lot of horsepower in that particular market. So it's going to be a great event. Want to see you guys there. And yeah, like Sean said, you're going to have a chance to win a stay down at Panama City Beach for 3 days, and it's kind of nasty outside, so that sounds kind of
Yes.
And you can't top that one. That's a better giveaway.
Thank you, guys. So there'll be some more information coming out on this, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna.
So we'll continue to push it out. Thank you. So real quick, I want to wrap this up here. We had the food trucks last week. We're going to try to figure out how do we continue to stay engaged with you guys. This is difficult. We're racking our brains. We're not going to be able to do the trunk or treat, which was coming up next week. The Thanksgiving get together. We had a conversation, our management team yesterday. As much as we'd love to do it, having food spread all over the place and having hundreds of people walk over it probably doesn't make a lot of sense right now. We don't see how we're going to even do our Christmas party. We are trying to figure out other ways. What are things that we can do to maybe use the garage to bring people in and out, to give away pies or something like that? We're not set on anything. We're brainstorming. If you've got great ideas of what we can do to connect with you guys through these holiday seasons, please tell us. We want to do it. If you got great ideas, make sure that you're doing things to connect with your clients through many client appreciation parties or pie giveaways or things like that too. Let's stay connected with each other, guys. We appreciate you. Yes. Tony Robbins, the date of that. Tony Robbins has asked me to speak at his convention. No, lie. November 19th. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we have purchased a Tony Robbins webinar that's going to be here in this room. So it's free of charge to you guys. Show up, and Maggie's going to help us make sure that we've got the webinar running on over the weekend. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, show up here. Tony Robbins always has great value. If you're looking to get pumped up for ideas for 2021, do that. So we'll have that right here in this room, right?
Yep, and it's basically all day because it's a global event. So it's literally from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m.
So pop in and out as you wish.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Collaboration event.
Collaborate. Yes. What's the dates of that?
That is December 9th.
December 9th. So Edina Realty up in Minneapolis is going to be doing a 5-company Edina Ebbia Holiday in Dallas, which is a big company down there. Reese and Nichols in Kansas City, us and one other company. I'm drawing a blank. And they're going to be we'll be inviting you guys again into this room or via Zoom to do they're going to take off of Explosion and do a version of Explosion. We don't have all the details on that, where there may be some breakout sessions. They're going to have some guest speakers and stuff like that. So as soon as we get those facts, we'll make that aware to you guys. And I think they're limiting us to like 100 and some people. So once I do that, it'll be the first 100 people to RSVP or whatever number they give us to jump on a Zoom call and be part of that. But we're going to try to continue to find these type of things. But when they called and said, would you participate in this? I said, we would love to, because anything we can do that can help have people from other parts of the country that are successful share ideas with you, I think is benefit for all of us, guys. So I know we're running over time. Get out of here. Have a great day. Get in Jay's class. Stay focused. Do not let your foot off the gas because it's getting cold and we're heading the holidays. Let's make 2021 a great year. Take care, guys.